Hello, dear students and all kinds of participants. How are you all? Assalamu alaikum. I have come here after many a day again. Previously, I have given you a lecture on English reading skills. I have come here again with another very important lecture, virtual lecture on English reading skills, Part C. In my previous lecture, I have discussed about Part A and Part B, reading comprehension passages. But today I have come here to discuss Part C, which is really a bit different than Part A and B. And also it has got 50 marks, so very important for the students to get good marks in the final exam. Good afternoon from me. I'm Azharul Haq, Assistant Professor, Kumila Victoria Government College, Department of English. Today's session, I have decided to talk with one of your textual poems, which is very common and of course very known poems to each and everyone. I would like to talk about the poem. This is I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud, written by William Wordsworth. This poem is very important from the perspective of coming into the exam. This poem has got a lot of figures of speeches, and also there are a lot of ideas and a lot of things that you need to know for Part C. Actually, Part C, you will be given 5 questions. Each question will carry 10 marks. So 50 marks will there be. So, but the questions are really very different because these are all textual and a little bit thematic and technical questions. Most of the questions are technical. So what are the technical questions that you will face in Part C? For example, you need to know the tone of the poem, writer's attitude, view of the poem, mood of the writer, tone of the whole poem, writer's viewpoint, and also you have to find out the figures of speech in the poem. You have to find the genre of the poem, and also you need to scan the whole poems if it can come in the final exam. It can sometimes some questions are like scansion, so you have to be prepared for scansion. I will show you in my brief description and lecture. I would like to show you how to do this, but you have to follow me really very carefully. So let us start. I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud, written by William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth is, you need to also, when you paraphrase and analyze a poem, you have to go through the biography, or you need to know the biography of the writer as well. For example, William Wordsworth is a very famous poem of English Romantic movement and English Romantic period, born in 1770, Cumberland, England. He was one of the most prominent figures of the English Romantic movement, and also a very known and very enthusiastic and very prominent figure of Romantic ages of English literature. Romantic age, when we say, it actually started in 1798 and ends in 1832. So within this period of time, he is one of the most eldest and one of the most prominent and precocious writers of his age. His most important companion was S.T. Coleridge, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, with whom he has actually published lyrical ballads, and which has marked the beginning of English Romantic movement and English Romantic age. I'm not going to talk about that. That is a part of history. Today I'm going to talk about the poem, how to solve the poem in English Part C. So there will be a poem, not the whole poem actually, but part of the poem may be given in the final exam. What you have to do is to find out the different techniques, different themes, tone and perspectives, like figures of speech, and also some other thematic and technical questions will have to be solved. So let us talk about the poem, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. This poem is written by William Wordsworth. Look at that. If you look at the text, if you have the text in front of you, you will see the poem has been divided into 6 different stanzas, or 6 divisions, 6 parts, and each part having 6 lines, very symmetrically done. Look at the poem. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the hill, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the bridge. So if you look at the poem has been written in the first person point of view. That is, the writer himself is the speaker of the poem. That is called first person point of view. And mostly the writer has used I. The writer didn't use any other characters, so he himself is the character of the poem, is the speaker or narrator of the poem. That is why we can call it first person point of view. And that is why it starts with I. So you have to fix this one. We can say that the poem is written in the first person point of view. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high or wheels an oar. You can see some technical words are also used in the poem. O apostrophe R, there is over. But when we recite the poem, it will be pronounced as oar. So that floats on high or wheels and hills. This is one thing. If you look at the whole poem from the beginning to the end, you will see the poem is actually written in the first person point of view. So the point of view of the writer's position has been found. Now let us talk about the tone of the poem. What is the tone of the poem? What is tone? First you have to know this, dear participants. Tone is writer's attitude towards the topic. So what attitude the writer has actually conveyed throughout the poem to the readers. That's it. So reading the poem, if you look at the second part of the poem, you'll see continuous as the stars that shine as twinkle on the Milky Way, this traced in never-ending line along the margin of bay. 10,000 saw at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. Each and every paragraphs are actually talking about writer's enthusiasm and enthusiastic feelings. He is very much emotionally enlightened and jubilant in feelings. You have to know, and remember, I would like to inform you that you need to know the summary of the poem. The summary may come in the final exam. Tone, summary, theme. These are very common questions, so summary is also very important. But how can you find out the summary? You have to read the whole poem from the beginning to the end. Third para, the waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet couldn't but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me he brought. Now the last para. For oft when on my couch I lie in vacant or in pensive mood, the flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude, and then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. So in order to find out the subject matter or summary of the poem, you need to find out, or you need to underline the important diction. Diction means the choice of words, special choice of words the writer usually use in a poem. It's a romantic poem. So normally the writer uses very common figures of speech or diction, which are very easy to understand. There is nothing very unusual or colloquial words, except very few, like I would like to show them. In the first para, there is no such word, which we can call colloquial or different diction chosen by the writer. Second para, there is no such word. Third para, if you go to the third para, there is no such word that we find here. And in the fourth para also, for oft when we couch on my couch I lie in vacant or pensive mood, they flash up on the inward eye, which is a bliss of solitude, and then my heart with pleasure feels and dances. Actually, throughout the whole poem, reading the whole poem, you'll see there is no archaic or any colloquial words used by the writer. All words are very logically and very fantastically chosen. There is nothing colloquial, redundant words are used. So, talking about the tone of the poem, the tone is, reading the poem, we can find that the poem is written in a very practical, jubilant, enthusiastic and cheerful mode. So we can say that, and if you look at some words, if you analyze some words like when all at once I saw a crowd, and also in the second para, twinkle on the Milky Way, and 10,000 saw at a glance. So looking at these words, I gazed and gazed for often, except in the last para, there is a slight touch of pessimism. But except that, all throughout the whole poem, we can find the poet's optimism, a kind of not only that, a kind of looking forwardness, a kind of happiness, and of course a kind of joyousness is presented. So the theme can be called the writer's joy or enthusiasm, cheerfulness, joyousness, and a pleasure, or you can call it one kind of optimism throughout the whole play, a kind of excitement. Actually, you can also use these words. Actually, themes, you have to use some words, like, so the theme of this poem is excitement, joyousness, joyfulness, cheerfulness, like this, optimism, like this. So these are the themes of it. Now, what is the writer's attitude towards the poem? The writer would like to flash upon his mentality throughout the verses of the poem. The poem is written in a very simple, casual manner. 4 stanzas are used, and each and every stanza he has used 6 lines, very symmetrically and consistently blended together. And now let us have a look at the rhyme scheme of the poem. Look at the rhyme scheme. What is rhyme scheme? Rhyme scheme is the last verse, last syllable of each verse of the poem. So look at that. Cloud, hills, crowd, deals, trees, breeze. So if you analyze the first para, it would be cloud, hills, crowd, deals. So A, B, and trees, breeze, C, C. This can be called the actual rhyme scheme of the poem. Cloud, hills, crowd, deals. So A, B. A means cloud and crowd, hills and deals are BB, and trees and breeze. These are all similar. This can also be called a kind of couplet because these 2 consecutive, rhyme schemes are similar. So we can call it a couplet. In each and every para, there is a couplet used. So very easy to understand. The second para also, shine, line, way, bay, glance, dance. These are all very fantastic. Same, but you can change the rhyme scheme. Like since you have used ABC, you can use now D. So D, E, F, F. So this is the way you can proceed the rhyme scheme of the poem. Once you find out the rhyme scheme, you can describe the rhyme scheme and write it in a very sequential and logical manner so that it can become very much compact and understandable to the to the readers. Let's see. So this is the poem. What is the theme of the poem? The theme is very much important. What is theme? Theme is what the writer doesn't directly express in the poem. So what is that? A kind of dormant feelings, maybe a sad one. If you look at the last para, a little bit sad one. For oft when I went on my couch lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, the flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. Again, he comes back to his normal joyfulness. So a little touch of pessimism is found, but we cannot say that the theme is pessimistic or anything like that. So the theme can be called a little bit writers, what does writer want to mean, which he doesn't want to mean throughout the lines or verse of the poem. What is that? That is a kind of everlasting joy, his inner happiness. He would like to fly like the clouds throughout the wind or throughout the sky in the space. So his inward feelings are soaring high in the imagination. It's really an imaginative poet. This poem is full of imagination and a kind of fancifulness. So we can call it as the theme is imaginative feelings, soaring high in the sky, or soaring, flying over the sky to a great extent. So it's a very happy ending. And so we have discussed in my short video lecture, I have tried to show you the tits and bits of this poem. I hope when you will enjoy doing it, you will, when you will do this practically, you will get a lot of ideas from this poem. Just first para to last para, all things are, very, dexterously and very hierarchically maintained. Nowhere in the poem we have found the feelings have been dropped or paused. It is all very done nicely and dexterously. So it's all from me today. Hope you have enjoyed the poem. Another day I would like to talk about the scansion of the poem. My time is very short for this presentation. So thank you all for me. If you would like to get a lot more information from this poem, you can, if you inquire anything, you can call on me or you can email me, which I have already given at my previous lectures. So it's all from me. Thank you very much and see you again.